everyone. If you are new here, my name is Emily and I post a ton of bookish content for you guys. Occasional lifestyle stuff, but for the most part, we're a booktube channel now. And if you are not new here, welcome back. Happy to have you. So for today's video, I figured we would do something super fun, something that I haven't done in a while actually, and that is a burn, rewrite, and reread. So it's kind of perfect because I have read a total of 7.5 books at this point, and that is because I am almost done My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. But aside from that, I am going to be choosing 6 of these books because that one is not done yet, and the other one is a nonfiction. So all of the fiction books come to 6, and I'm going to actually be using these in 2 rounds of burn, rewrite, and reread, so I'm really excited about that. Right now, I only have 3 of the physical copies. I am lending one to my friend, but I am going to be burning, rereading, or rewriting A Court of Thorns and Roses, Reminders of Him, Ugly Love, and then the one physical copy that I am letting my friend borrow is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and then the other 2 books are on my Kindle. The one is The Finish Line by Kate Stewart. This is what it looks like. And the other one is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which was an ARC that I so kindly received by NetGalley. So those are the 6 books that we're going to be discussing today, and I'm so excited. So I decided to steal one of my boyfriend's hats for this. I have all of the titles inside, and we're just going to shake it up and choose our first 3. First up, we have The Finish Line by Kate Stewart. And then we have ACOTAR, so A Court of Thorns and Roses. So far, so good. And lastly, we have Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. So that is going to be a good one. For this round, I do have 2 of the books here. It's always the hardest part, is figuring out which one I would burn and rewrite and reread, honestly. Like, usually I have a harder time because I really do like a lot of the books that I choose, and I don't want to burn any of them. And you guys know the gist of this. If I choose one to burn, it doesn't necessarily mean that I hate the book. I have to choose one. And in this case, it's a little bit easy, I think. I am gonna burn A Court of Thorns and Roses. So sorry, everyone. I love this book, though. I rated it a 3.5 out of 5. I probably am gonna rate the rest of the series more. It's just that I wasn't really familiar with the terms and the world building. This was my first fantasy book, but nonetheless, it was still a really great book. It's just not as high up there as other ones. So for my rewrite, interestingly enough, I think I'm gonna choose Ugly Love, because not that I would choose to change too much throughout the book. I think that there were a few things that could have been taken away just because it was a little bit repetitive, but this was a 5 out of 5 book for me. I loved it, honestly, from beginning to end, but I feel like we could have just received a little bit more of an epilogue or like their life after. Honestly, Colleen, if you want to come out with a sequel to this, I don't think any of us would be mad, because I really just want to know what's up with Tate and Miles. I feel like a lot of your fan base would love to know. But yeah, honestly, this book is it's heartbreaking, it's funny, it has everything in it, and the final, like, climax, I guess, like the situation that happens that you're, like, waiting to find out, just broke my heart. So I will be the first to admit that I did not cry, like a lot of people do, but this was still a 5 out of 5. So this is a rewrite, but not really. It's hard because I have to give the reread to The Finish Line. Honestly, this series just holds such a near and dear place in my heart. I can't not reread it. I'm going to reread it as soon as I get the physical copy of the book. But if you're looking for something like a rated R Twilight without vampires,
it's just real life people
with like free spirits and kind of like a gang-like mentality, people who want to do things for the greater good, romance, polyamorous relationships, all of that stuff, this book has everything. This series has everything. It's literally a 3-part series, and The Finish Line was the last one. But interestingly enough, it's not a 5 out of 5 like Ugly Love is. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. I just really want to reread it. So if I'm going by rating of book, I guess The Finish Line would be like the rewrite, but honestly, it doesn't need to be rewritten. It's just perfect the way it is. Alright guys, and that means that the second round we are going to be dealing with What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. So at the moment, like I said, I only have Reminders of Him. And I think for the burn, I'm gonna have to say What Moves the Dead. It was my first T. Kingfisher, and honestly, it was okay. I don't really know. It was a novella. It was like 200 pages or less, and while it was definitely interesting, I just feel like it could have been a full book. I would have felt way more invested in the characters. It's essentially following this guy who has retired from being in the war. He goes to help his friend because his sister's dying, and then there's like this sinister fungal situation happening in the forest where they live, and it was like a really interesting concept. I just feel like if it was a whole ass novel, I probably would have liked it more because I would have felt more invested in the characters and the situation they were in. But yeah, that one's going to be a burn for me. I believe I rated that one a 3 out of 5. For my rewrite, this one is really hard for me because I love Reminders of Him and I love It Ends With Us, but I'm going to have to say the rewrite would be Reminders of Him, only because I just felt like I honestly felt like I could have read this book forever. Like, it could have kept going for another 100 pages, and I would have felt like I'm getting all the information that I need from Kenna and Ledger's relationship and their lives separately. I adored this book. It was a 5 out of 5. I cannot say more good things about it. Like, it's literally just so good. Bawled my eyes out at the end of this. But kind of similar, I guess, to Ugly Love is the like epilogue part. I really wish that we could have seen more of Kenna, Ledger, her daughter, and their future and everything kind of at the end for more. I just would have liked to see more of that. It felt a tad rushed, so I guess the ending for me just could have been maybe even like 10 to 20 more pages longer, and I would have been a lot happier. But nonetheless, like I said, such a great book. Highly, highly recommend. This one did just come out like 2 months ago, and I'm in love with it. But alas, it will be my rewrite, which means that It Ends With Us is my reread, because if you are not aware of what this book is about, I also just feel like It Ends With Us versus Reminders of Him, It Ends With Us can be a lot more relatable to a lot more people, because in Reminders of Him, we're following Kenna, who has just been released from prison after 5 years, and while yes, a lot of females and people in general go to prison, I just feel like the aspect of like a childhood lover who comes back and domestic abuse and all of the topics that are discussed in It Ends With Us is a lot more prominent in this day and age. It's like a little bit more of an unconventional / modern fairy tale, if that makes sense. And this was just such an intricate book. I honestly, like, there were so many twists and turns throughout it, and I adored it. I loved Lily. I didn't love Ryle, but I loved the character of Ryle. I feel like she just described him so perfectly. I felt like I knew these characters in person. Atlas was like the sweetest guy in the entire world. And on top of that, I feel like I'm gonna end up rereading this anyway because It Starts With Us. It comes out at the end of the year, and I could not be more excited to read that. I am going to be pre-ordering it probably this month at some point. I just cannot wait. Those are 6 books that I've read so far this year. I just thought it'd be fun to, kind of rate them, if you will. If I had to rate these all, like, in order from 1 to 6, I feel like, this is just on the top of my head, so I honestly could be wrong, but I'm gonna say worst out of these 6 would be What Moves the Dead, then A Court of Thorns and Roses, then we're gonna go with, Ugly Love, maybe, or Reminders of Him. Like, one of those two. They're kind of like tied in the middle, I would say. And then The Finish Line, and then It Ends With Us. So, worst book, What Moves the Dead. Best book, It Ends With Us. And that is it for this video. This is definitely a short and sweet one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like these burn, rereads, and rewrite type things, please let me know, because honestly, I would love to do these with, like, past books that I've read that I haven't done this with already. I just figured it'd be fun to do for like the first season of the year, and I can keep doing them as I read if you guys want, because it's really fun. That is it for this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and do not forget to subscribe if you do want to see more from me. I make videos every single Friday for you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!